Right, another Carolan amp that I think a lot of you guys will like in the AX8 is the Triptych Modern. We'll have a look at the modern mode as well as the classic mode. All right, another underrated AX8 amp block that I think you'll really like is the Carolan Triptych. We're going to start with the modern mode with the same York Audio V30 impulse. The stock settings sound like this. So you can hear it sounds like a slightly more saturated, slightly more compressed version of the Takana. I'm not a huge fan of it at the stock settings, but it can get really, really mean and nasty when you EQ it right and you boost it with an EQ pedal. So the Takana is basically like an ideal Marshall to me. Like, it does that kind of classic rock thing so well. Whereas the Triptych it's somewhere in between for me. Like, it's got a little bit of Soldano flavor in there. It's got a little bit of modern Marshall flavor in there, like a DSL or something. And it's got a little bit of like Mesa Boogie rectifier about it. This is how I like to dial it in for a modern rock sound. I'm playing an STR LJ1, so Les Paul style humbuckers. They are sort of hot paths, I guess. I like to pull a little bit of the mid-range out and boost a little bit of the bass and the treble. That sounds like so. So you can hear it's a very grainy kind of distortion. Well, I'd describe it as grainy anyway. What I like to do is knock the input drive down and turn the overdrive up. This way it will kind of brighten everything a little bit. Let's have a listen. And I said brighten everything. What I meant to say was smooth everything out. It's got less of that grainy texture, and it's sort of like a more pleasant, sort of compressed, saturated sound. So I think that sounds pretty cool there. What I like to do is chuck an FET boost in front of there, the usual settings I use to emulate the Anarchy Audio workhorse. Drive at 3, tone at 7, mid at 1, silicon clip type, high cut at 6500, level at 10. Now it's getting into modern high gain. So lots and lots of gain on tap, but it is really nice and crisp and clear, which I like. Again, you know, the old parameters, speaker comp and motor time constant, I find work really well by increasing those a little bit. So that for me works really well if you want a pretty clear, not super tight, but still really vibey rock sound. If you want it to tighten up a little bit, turn the master down below 3, compensate with the level control, and now it's a lot more of that sort of, it's getting a little bit of recto about it, which I like. And you can see there that I turn the supply sag up, which again makes it squish a little bit more, master down, and the mids down and the presence up a little bit. And that to me is a really unique type of high gain rock sound. Like I said, there's a bit of that boutiquey Soldano flavor in there. It doesn't really sound like the Soldano. There's a bit of Marshall in there. There's a little bit of that sort of recto low end, all without sounding like anything too much else. So the Triptych Modern is an awesome amp if you want high gain, but you kind of want your own sonic signature. And then the classic mode with the same settings, I'll leave the master at around 3. Sounds like this. And if you turn the input drive up, you get more of that modern kind of sound happening. Let's go to 6. So that to me is something that you would hear on like the verse of a modern rock song, you know, like a Shinedown song or something, where they're going to be absolutely crushing you with riffs in the chorus. But then for the verse, you know, you've got like just some clean chords or something. So that's how I like to use the triptych. If you've got your sort of moderate gain sound with a classic mode and the mids bumped a little bit, and then use the modern mode for choruses and basically for just crushing riffs. It's a really underrated amp model.